today, as we said, we're going to introduce two products, KPI 360, which is focused on getting the data together, contextualize it, and generate the insights that Dominic talked about. The other product is around the manufacturing operations space. So as you have seen, there are quite a few manufacturing execution systems out there. I mean, there are dime a dozen. All of them are focused on how you get the execution done. What we are introducing in here is the AI embedded capability that connects your L2 and L1 systems as well as your IT systems and really bring in the efficiencies into your manufacturing operations. Talk about production execution, quality tracking, material waste tracking, yield, some of these things that are really high on top of your head that you're trying to achieve in the next several years. That's what these kind of solutions are going to offer. So the next set of slides really explains to you how, even though we sound like one of many, how we are unique and different and how it actually plays into what you're looking for. So I'll start by sort of stating the very obvious, something that you live on a daily basis that I want to highlight to make a point. I grabbed in a few metrics that we are quite familiar with. If you look at it, there are a lot of people that are walking away on a daily basis on the manufacturing side of it through resignations or retirement, right? This is pretty obvious. And then every day in and day out, you are competing in trying to get your material waste down. You're trying to increase your productivity, increase your value, increase your yield. Look at this. When you talk about people that are resigning, knowledge is going out of your doors. And then on top of it, a lot of inefficiencies are there on the shop floor. I'm not saying nothing is done on that front until now. Of course, a lot of investment is being made. If you look at the example, $1.7 trillion is what's being spent across digital transformation, and a certain big percentage of that is purely focused on manufacturing. So a lot of effort is being made. And of course, once again, the percentages can be argued depending on which source you pick from, but a lot of the digital initiatives are resulting in failures, not value outcome is being touched on. Now, the key takeaway is, of course, there are a lot of technologies that are available in the market that you want to embrace and use them as a way to improve on any of these metrics. If you look at it, what solutions are there available in the market today? I'm not saying that none. Of course, each one of you are driving your initiatives, working with your partners and vendors, and have them help you with the technologies. But if you look at some of the metrics, once again, this is a snippet of some of the metrics. You can continue on, look at it, and I'm sure nodding your head saying that's true. A lot of the data analytics projects which have a sense of AI being called in just for the sense of it, right? Most of them are data analytics, big data projects. AI is just being called to make it sound sexy. And these are all projects. Each one of them is taking 6 to 9 months even to deliver on a simple use case. Proof of concept, something beyond. And even the productized versions on the manufacturing operations shop floor, the products that are there for 20 plus years already and have large percentage of the market, I was looking at some of the sources like Gartner, McKinsey, and so on, offer very poor user experience. Think of it this way. The existing worker base is walking away. New worker base is coming in. They come in with the experience of various tools and technologies and not having the tribal knowledge. Now you offer them with poor technology and poor user experience. The productivity has a huge impact. Continuing on, the third metric is quite interesting. When I looked at this, the data-driven decisions, we talk about it every day. Data-driven decision has become almost like a part of our jargon, and so to speak. But it appears that in sales and financial planning, a lot of manufacturing companies use data-driven decisions. But when it comes to manufacturing, they don't. It's a ratio of 4 to 1. So how could you make data-driven decisions on the sales side but ignore it on the cost side? You're never going to get to a right value. And then a lot of projects are getting failed, of course. So what we are trying to talk about in here is you have a set of problems that are pretty obvious. The solutions are there. Our technologies are there for you to use to mitigate those challenges. But those technologies are not quite there where they need to be. What you need is the technologies that drive and measure efficiencies and help you manage your knowledge. If you do these two things, I think you can start seeing a transformative value out. Now, if you look at it, our solution is meant to do 4 fundamental things. We are not going to look at execution as a pure morbid activity of execution, but it should be an intelligence-driven efficiency. Once again, we are a small company, like Dominic said. if we are playing in this large space of manufacturing operations, we better be significantly different. Our goal is to really look at the plant operations to be efficiency driven. Once again, a lot of tools and technologies are available for you to look at historical data, do the analysis, see what went wrong. I have talked to a lot of customers who have multiple lines through which they're manufacturing their product. They say the lines are inefficient. But when you say which of the work cells are inefficient, it's hard for them to figure that out with all the data-driven actions they do. And then when you say, fine, how are you going to solve that problem? How are you going to make that asset more efficient so that the overall takt time is going to be improved? They don't know. So you got to really understand where the source of the problem is and then try to have a predictive way of looking at the what-if analysis on how you can make the improvements come together. That goes to the predictive part. Data silos versus knowledge fabric. This sounds like a very techno term, but in reality is all the data analytics activities that are happening, like the survey that Dominic showed, they're all silos. So you're getting the KPI, but you don't know if the KPI is based on all the data that's brought together that you can trust on. So our solution has a knowledge fabric layer. And the last part is rip and replace. There are challenges out in the market, we all know that, and the plant managers, the VP of operations, the CDOs are not expected to be spending a lot of money. Spend little, get more. In a scenario like that, it's very important to get started with a composable solution that starts small, draws efficiencies, and be able to scale across, than to really go after a multi-year project of having to rip and replace what you have. So these are four of the fundamental things that you'll see coming out of our product. That's key differentiation. Okay, so what is it, right? This picture probably really covers what we do. There are three fundamental things that come out of in here. There's a plant at the bottom, or multiple plants, and you all have these assets, processes, and people that really drive the plant, and you know there are inefficiencies, but you don't know why, and you have been spending money trying to figure that out and get most efficient solution or execution process going. What we offer is an ability to connect from those assets. We have a huge library of connectors that enables us to connect to the assets through various different protocols, but connect anybody can do. But then the layer that really drives the contextualization. The contextualization layer, as you can see, we have an ISA 95 compliant asset architecture that takes data from various sources, OT and IT, and builds a layer of data fabric. And the layer above is where the two solutions come up on the cognize part of it. One that basically serves the end user, that's all about looking at the performance indicators and making some key decisions across the manufacturing space. That's where KPI 360 comes in. How are we better? Because the industries that we operate on, we have a better asset intimacy. It's not just the asset, how the assets interact with each other in a line, what are the efficient parameters there is, what are the bounding conditions, and so on. Our AI models and physics models are trained on them. And then the self-serve KPI. I have seen this firsthand that when you want a KPI, you have to ask somebody, that somebody asks somebody else, and then somebody asks somebody else to get you the KPI. It takes a week to a month to get you the KPI, and you're not able to make sense out of what you asked and what you got. Here, it's a self-serve KPI, like the drag and drop. On the right-hand side, the Mon 360, once you have the asset structure, this is the new generation MES, as I call it, you better have that layer of data fabric so that you are confident that your OT and IT systems data are being contextualized and brought together, and then have these modularized solutions. Everybody should be familiar with MES 11 standards of what modules make up MES. We offer those compliant functions that sit on top of this. So now you're getting the data sources, you're sitting on top, providing the functionalities like production execution and so on. So I'll get to the details on it. And the last part, which should not lose the messaging part of it, is unlike everybody else who may have AI as part of as afterthought, we have it embedded into it. So manufacturing operations, I'll not lecture on it too much. This is our suite of offering, and if I can build it up, our solutions are integrated and composable. You will see a quick demo of that. We have predictive indicators that provide you with actionable root cause. So that's the key part of it. Then if you continue on, when I talk about the MES 11 compliant modules that we are releasing into the market, the most important one of them is the order management. So any industry you're in, discrete, chemical, pharmaceutical, and the food and beverage industry, which is where we focus quite significantly on, we help you take the orders, break them down through ERP integration, and drive it to the ops, assets, and product level. If you continue on, we are providing the recipe management capability, which takes your floor top recipe, breaks it down into a plant level recipe, and so on, and then matches that to the orders and breaks down into batches, or even if you run the continuous operations. So this is another module that's offered. Keep in mind, each of these modules are like Lego blocks, so when we offer them, customer can start with one of them and then grow into adding more modules along the way. It's not an all or nothing deal. And then if you continue on, manufacturing execution is built with intelligence. So if you're on the discrete side of things, or even on the process side, if you want to really drive the overall equipment efficiency or try your quality and inventory, we have the solution module is available as part of this announcement. So a lot of the chemical, pharma, food and chemical, food industry are after yield, material waste tracking. So a lot of those functionalities that are specific to the industry are available. So I'll run a quick video, and I'll keep my mouth closed for the next 5 minutes, so to speak, to get a quick snap of our solution.
Let's take a look at MOM 360, starting with execution. Execution starts with the planning orders that have come from the ERP. A quick card view of the order shows real-time status, such as the current state and estimated time remaining. Diving deeper into an order provides additional details based upon its current routing. Other information could also be presented, since MOM knows everything, like who is working on it, what will happen next, and when it will be completed. Since all the information is fully contextualized, there are lots of ways to look at the information. A maintenance supervisor may want to understand production from an asset view, seeing the physical assets, their current operations and operators, and which materials will flow to next may be exactly what they need to know in order to plan the rest of their day. Speaking of maintenance, since MOM has real-time connections to the automated assets, it can help initiate and track maintenance orders as well. Here, our production operator is working on a work cell with 2 assets. The system is reporting an issue with one of those, which is affecting his production rate. Taking a closer look, he sees the automation has raised an alarm indicating that the spindle current is over the specified limit and that our production rate is falling behind. Drilling into that warning, he sees the spindle current trend definitely has spiked and can provide some details that the maintenance team may need. Initiating that work order allows him to request the maintenance his equipment needs. The maintenance order can be tracked on MOM, or it may go out through a standard integration to another CMMS, such as Maximo. Once done with that, the operator can return to his primary work, such as collecting quality samples. Order tracking is the heart of MOM. Whether we are a shop floor supervisor or a plant manager wanting to understand what is happening in the factory, MOM can help answer that question. For example, here we see orders broken down by top-level processes, but it could be by recipe, production line, route, product line, or whatever might make sense. Information about the orders give a quick overview of what is happening, like states and current production counts. Drilling into a specific process, we see more details. Of course, the world runs on Excel, so we can always export the information to a spreadsheet for more detailed analysis. But how are those orders managed? Orders originate in ERP, but MOM adds manufacturing details such as the recipe to use. The order is broken down into smaller pieces for more detailed tracking. This higher level of fidelity supports more complex scheduling rules for better asset utilization. The orders are eventually exploded into production jobs based upon the recipe. The jobs are dispatched to work centers on the edge for execution, where operators and automation will complete the jobs. Now let's see what the execution of an operation could look like. In this case, our mobile user is going to be performing a guided workflow for adding a hand-add material to a mixer. He begins by starting one of those production jobs I mentioned earlier. By driving the operation through a recipe-managed workflow, the operator sees the work instructions and collects the necessary data in a just-in-time, error-proof fashion. Validations are performed to make sure the right data is being collected at the right time. Each step is tracked, and metadata, such as the length of time it takes to perform each step, is collected for later analysis. The process of collecting this job execution data provides the context to do more detailed reporting, such as considering the OEE of the asset based upon the order or the shift that was running. Another example of a guided workflow might not be related to production at all, but more focused on production assets. These workflows are also built to guide the operator step by step through a series of tasks. The example shows the design side of creating such a workflow using our no-code platform and dragging pre-built reusable steps into the flow. Adding details to the flow is simple. Each activity has its own set of configuration. That could be just providing the text to show the operator or wiring inputs to a sensor or automated tag, which is simple as picking it from a dropdown. And just like before, all the details are tracked for reporting and analysis. MOM 360 provides the way to bring efficiency and visibility to your production processes. If you have more questions, please reach out to our SymphonyAI Industrial, and we will be happy to show you how we can help with your manufacturing challenges.
So the last slide, as you build it up, this is pretty much it that I wanted to talk about. Like I said, last part, if you don't remember everything that I said, at least walk away with 3 things: KPI 360, MOM 360, and productized AI. So everything that we do, as it is in our company name, we embed AI into the solution, and it's not a science project. We have productized it with our customers.
And finally, just a quick introduction. We have Barry Johnson, who's the president of our digital manufacturing division, and Anderson Lemos, who's sitting there at the table. So he is Mr. Connected Worker. So if you haven't put the glasses on and gone through workflow executions, Anderson is the person. We'll take any questions if you have them. We have a few minutes. We good? That's right. As soon as you go in, we're right on the right side. So happy to talk to you about it. Okay? Nice to see you. Okay, thank you.